Hey everybody,
Hello.
Mopar Monster here, and I'm with,
Sire and
Sister Psycho.
and we are the Cleveland Monster Club. Today we've got a bunch of stuff going on, but being that this is their first episode, we're going to get to know them a little bit.
Yeah.
So, Sister Psycho, you've been with us the longest.
Yeah, I'm actually one of the two original co-founders, because fun fact, day of recording this is the 7-year anniversary of the first ever episode of Reverend Morbid and Sister Psycho, which later became the Cleveland Monster Club. So that's pretty exciting. What a great day to be here. But I am a horror movie obsessed person, and I write horror fiction, I read horror novels. It's pretty much like most of my existence, and I love doing the paranormal investigations. Mopar and Reverend really got me into that even more, so yeah, I just love doing what I can for the club. And Halloween is obviously my favorite.
I mean, come on. How about you, Siren?
I have gotten brought into this kind of by a leash. I got pulled into this. I was not a very horror-related person, but I did like my mermaids, which hence my name, Siren. I got to know the horror. I'm still frightened sometimes.
A lot of the times.
A lot of the times. But I come to enjoy it, actually. I've enjoyed a lot of the things that we've done. There's all kinds of different things that we've done. And yeah, that's about it.
All right.
I'm glad I've got to take part in some of your introductions.
Oh
of the
my
horror
God.
stuff.
or sit here and laugh at me because I go through a haunted house and I'm just frightened.
It's a good time either way.
Either way. The thrift stores are kind of neat. You get to see some new things. They're very interesting things.
Mm-hmm.
They got live bugs in frames and skeletons, like, of dead animals. I've seen all sorts of things through these thrift stores, hearses, and all that.
We'll have to go back to Cleveland Curiosities soon. They got a lot of the good bone stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't bring any of them home. I'm good. I'm okay, but...
So on this episode, we decided to do something that we really haven't touched too much base on with any of our lives or anything that we used to do. We're going to tell some local campfire stories.
Ooh.
Kind of lore or urban tales. Some of them you may have seen in other movies, but this is stuff that we grew up with before the movies were made. So keep in mind, all this stuff are just campfire stories. None of it
We're not
may
claiming
be
it's
real.
Some of it may or may not be real.
There are parts of the stories that may have some exaggerated truth to them, let's put it that way.
Exaggerated truth.
But other than that, who wants to go first?
Yeah, I'll tell the story of Helltown. So everybody knows the famous Helltown, and I'm going to explain that one. In 1974, President Ford declared eminent domain and forcing people out of their homes to make a national park. A lot of the people just fled on their own, taking the payout that they gave them, and some of them stayed and were forced out by the army. That declared some controversy. They fought it, they battled it, and then you come up with some of the ghost stories that they came up with along the way. Along the way, they came up with, there was a bus traveling back to drop off some students, and they were stopped by some stranger smoking a cigarette, flagged them down, so they stopped the bus, and bus driver stopped, opened the doors, and the stranger forced his way onto the bus and got to the back of the bus, forcing the bus off to an abandoned house, where the abandoned house was not vacant. There was other people, cult leaders and all that, and they had murdered all the children and bus drivers and all that. And story goes to say that when people go to visit this bus, they see the spirits of the children, and on the back of the bus they'll see a man smoking a cigarette.
Which township is this in?
Boston Township. The police tried to get rid of the wreckage, try to pull it out, and ended up injuring 2 other officers in the process trying to get this bus out, and they couldn't do that. So they decided to just remove the seats on the bus, hoping that, well, if there's no place for the spirits to sit, there'll be no ghosts.
Right.
So they removed the seats. Safe to say, it didn't work. The spirits were still on the bus, and that's the story of the bus. There's also some vacant houses with no electricity, and sometimes you would see light come from the top of the houses through the windows, and if you get close enough, you can even see through the cracks of the boarded up windows people walking back and forth.
Nice.
So, and then obviously, you know, on this road they got 2 closed road signs, road closed signs, and you get there, and if you travel at night and you go and walk on foot, well, obviously you gotta park at the first closed sign, and then you go in the back, and people reported to see light
From up the road?
at the end, where they call it the end of the world drop, or the end of the world. So they reported to see light, and coming close towards them was a ghostly hearse.
We like hearses.
Yeah, right. We like hearses. So in that point, people would run scared and try to go back to their cars. Well, when they got past the first closed road sign, you know, and they got almost close to their car, they looked back, and the car was right behind them, as if it just went right through the second closed road sign. And then they got in their cars and they tried to go through, and the hearse still seemed to be coming towards them until the light just turns off.
Wow. I've not heard that part of Helltown before.
That was a new one by me, too.
Yeah. But everybody knows about the cults and the legends of Helltown, how you got cultists and blah, blah, blah. Well, there's also been a story in 2016 where a teenager was killed by an apparent black bear attack in Ohio.
It's always the black bear or the coyote or something.
Yeah, the big black bears we have in Ohio.
Yeah.
They're in the National Valley, Ohio National Valley Parkway system. There's all of them.
So many. Keep going.
But, you know, they did some research, and somebody got hold of the autopsy report, and the autopsy report didn't match a black bear. So the legend goes is that the cultists summoned a creature, and they had to bring it like goats and cattle to keep the creature at bay.
The sacrifices.
And they also where also what comes in hand with the bus is the cultists at the bus. I'm assuming that the children were kind of like sacrificed to this creature as well.
Okay, so this was happening like at the same time, kind of.
Correct.
Okay.
Did they have a name for the creature, or what kind of creature was it?
Wendigo.
Oh, the skin crawlers.
So this thing had horns,
Mm-hmm.
and it had this it's weird screechy like growl.
Kind of like a deer.
Yeah.
But it
So it looked like a deer, but it stood up like a man.
Yeah.
And it can do the voice mimicking and stuff.
Right. So legends say that that's what was what attacked the children that day.
Wow.
And the other 2 children don't want to talk about it, and the other one died that day.
Okay, so I have a question about it, because they finally went in 2019 and tore down all of the remains of what was left of Helltown. and they are in the process of moving forward, turning it into this large metro park for Ohio. But I don't remember, and I don't know if you know anything about this, but there was something about all of the leftover toxic waste from the nuclear testing that was happening near the town.
The Krejci.
Yes.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, there are some reports that they can still smell the sulfur smell.
Okay.
As far as that's true, I don't know.
Okay. Nice. That's a good one. Helltown is probably like the biggest Cleveland, Ohio area claim.
Well, they also have the slaughterhouse, correct? But they also report to see people up in the windows as well.
Okay.
You would think you would see cattle.
Right, but no.
But no, you see people.
Yeah, you're not going to see ghosts of
And
cows.
it makes you wonder if
you never
the
know.
cult stories are true.
Right. And I wouldn't doubt it, especially in that time period. There was lots of cults popping up left and right across the country. So I personally feel like that's the most believable part of all of the Helltown legend.
Right.
Is the cult activity.
Parts,
yeah.
All right, Eva, you want to go next?
I can. You want me to go next?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, so mine's not as long as that one. It's pretty short and sweet, but the first ever story I heard in my life that A, spooked me, but B, gave me any interest into horror was the story of the Jersey Devil, which is new to Eric, apparently.
I mean, I figured
To
it was
Mopar,
from Jersey, not Ohio.
Right.
I know nothing about it either.
So it is out of New Jersey. It's the Jersey Devil. Now the complicated thing with the Jersey Devil, though, is there are kind of similar to Bigfoot and Yetis and the Grassmen. There's so many different stories behind what is the Jersey Devil, where did it come from, but this is the version I heard. So my dad grew up in New Jersey, and he had his first sons there. He had a lot of family in New Jersey, so I was maybe 14 years old, and we're driving. We drove through Ohio, West Virginia, all this Pennsylvania, and we finally get to Jersey. It's 3 a.m, and where we're going, there's no highway access. So you get off the highway, and then for at least 50 miles, you're driving down this singular road. There's one lane on each side. That's it. Same speed limit, no stops, no nothing. And it's nothing but grassland. But what's crazy is for the whole stretch of the road, there's big tall trees on one side and a big vast grassy plain on the right side. Well, my right side, the way we were going. Everybody's getting sleepy and tired, and my dad's girlfriend fell asleep. Her son was asleep in the back seat with me. So it's just me and my dad. And he's like, "Did I ever tell you about the Jersey Devil?" And I'm like, "No." And we're in Jersey at this point, so I'm already spooked out, okay? And he's like, "Well, I grew up here, and I never personally saw it, but the legend goes that a long time ago, there was this woman who the town had cursed because she was a sinner. And they didn't want her to have children. They didn't want her to progress society, so they cursed this woman. But somehow, even though she never interacted with anybody, she started to bear a child. And 9 months go by, and this boy is born, and he's very deformed. He's, even for just being a baby, he's very long and stick thin with stick-like arms and red flaming hair, and they immediately call him the Jersey Devil because he's the Antichrist, and he's gonna bring all this famine on the town. And they murdered his mother for bringing such existence into the world. And in their chase to find him and burn him, he escaped into the woods that we just so happened to be driving past. And as the legend goes, if you're all alone on the road on a long dark night and you turn your lights off and just keep driving without stopping, that Jersey Devil will run right in front of you to escape the woods from the people chasing him. And so then for 4 hours, I was terrified. I stared straight ahead the whole time. He kept turning the lights on and off, and that was probably the scariest story I ever heard in my life. But now that I'm older and obsessed with horror, I have looked more into the Jersey Devil. And some of the stories, similarly to Helltown, is that there was a toxic experimental accident and it deformed this kid who then fled because of being picked on. Or other stories of it was just before modern medicine and he was born with deformities, so he was cast out by society. But all of these different versions center around this child being cast out to the woods and fleeing in the night, and you'll see him running by your car on this one particular long road. So that's what I got.
Well, that just leaves me. So, I was in the Cub Scouts growing up, never went into Boy Scouts because as I got older, you know, girls and cars got to be a thing. So Boy Scouts was not on my radar. But when I was in the Cub Scouts, every year they would do this outing, and we'd go camping with the Scoutmasters to Firelands. And there's a big camp for Firelands for all the Boy Scouts and the Girl Scouts. And the first time I went, I was probably about 7 or 8 years old, and we're all sitting around the campfire, and our Scoutmaster decided to tell us this story about Gore Orphanage. Now, there's a lot of stories that go about Gore Orphanage, but this is what was told to me while we were sitting around this campfire. Apparently, there's this orphanage over by Firelands. It's like Firelands area-ish, but it's in Lorain County. But anyways, right down the road from this campgrounds, apparently. And it's told where a little boy was playing with matches, and he set the whole building on fire accidentally. And all these children perished because they couldn't get out, because they locked the doors at night so the kids couldn't get out and wander around. And the legend goes that if you walk away from your campsite in the middle of the night, one of these orphans will come up behind you and strike a match and burn you on the spot.
Oh my God.
No. I don't like stuff with kids.
So I wonder if that was the story to deter the children from walking away from the campsite.
All right. I'm getting to that. So they also say that if you go visit the grounds where the orphanage was, that on the anniversary of the day that it burned down at night, they had this baby grand piano on the top floor where they would do music lessons for the children. And they said on the anniversary, you can hear that piano as the burning building was on fire. The floors gave out, and that piano came crashing down from floor to floor to floor, and you can hear the piano crashing through the floors and all the children screaming.
Bong! Every time I hit.
Yeah.
Woo!
Yeah, imagine hearing that when you're 7 or 8 years old in the middle of the woods, sitting by a campfire with all your friends.
Bang, bang.
Like, how is this possible?
You just think, oh my God.
You're a kid, you believe it. Like,
I didn't leave my tent that night.
Nope. You sure did not.
Oh, God.
So yeah, that was one campfire story that has stuck with me my entire life.
That's a good one, because I don't care. Like, I'm fairly desensitized to a lot of creepy stuff, but like creepy kid stuff, I'll still partake in whatever the media source is, a story, a movie, a book, whatever. But it's gonna creep me out. I'll tell you that.
No.
Kids are.
Fuck the kids.
Not the kids.
No, the crazy people is what gets me.
Oh, really?
The crazy people.
So that being said, that's out of the way. Another thing that we've been doing on these podcasts with all of our guests is towards the end of the podcast, we ask our guests if they've had any paranormal experiences and if they would share them with us.
I'm ready for this one.
You're ready
I'm
for
ready.
that? Let's hear it.
So I in the last year, I moved in with my partner, Rob, who I oftentimes in the club reference as Sire Psycho. We're in the Brunswick area, and he was very new to the house as well when we moved in. So I introduced him to all, like, the spooky stuff, the paranormal stuff. These are not things he would necessarily be looking out for, but I personally experienced a lot of stuff in the house we're in. So it all started one summer afternoon last year, right around this time. I was upstairs in our office, sitting at the computer, doing some work, and he was downstairs towards the back of the house in our dining room, just scrolling through the phone, eating lunch. And all of a sudden, and I didn't have any music on, nothing. And all of a sudden I hear, woohoo! Real loud from downstairs. And I'm like, okay, Rob must have read something cool. And it sounded just like him. He must have read something cool. Like, I bet he's going to come tell me any second. And I'm waiting and I'm waiting. And he doesn't come upstairs. So I go downstairs. I'm like, what's up? What happened? What's so exciting? He's like, he looks up from his phone. What are you talking about? I'm like, I just heard you go, woohoo! Real loud. He's like, I've just been sitting here with the dog. Like, I didn't do anything. I'm like, are you messing with me right now? He's like, no. I'm like, okay. So then I go back upstairs. Now, mind you, when I left, I did not close any doors. The office door was open. Our bedroom door, our bathroom door, our guest room door, every door was open. I get back to the top of the stairs. Every single door is closed. And I'm like, I go back downstairs. I'm like, who's here? What's the trick you're playing on me? Why are you doing this? He's like, what are you talking about? He comes upstairs. He sees all the doors are closed. And he's freaking out now. So then I calm him down and we go about the day. Well, a couple weeks later, he is a marathon runner. He has some medals. They're on like a metal rack securely affixed to the wall in the guest room. It's like 3 p.m, nothing going on. Bang! It crashes to the floor. And we go in, and all of the nails and screws that were holding up the thing were turned down. Every single one of them. And not like the wall gave out. The hole was still solid. All of them went from this to this. They were turned down like somebody grabbed them and bent them. And then the last one, that's the most recent, that really gets me, is we always keep our closets closed. We close the dressers, because I have like a open dresser, not a pull-out one. And one morning, he wakes up, and every closet in the house is open. Wide open. He thought maybe I was sleepwalking or something and opened the things. Then I wake up, see them open, and I'm like, okay, Rob must have been looking for clothes to get ready for work, so I don't think anything of it. But then I leave the bedroom and I go downstairs and I come back up. My dresser's wide open and all my t-shirts are just thrown onto the floor in front of it. And I'm just like, I know I didn't do that before I walked out of the room. At this point, we have not done any investigating.
Sounds like we need to.
I'd like to have Reverend and Mopar come over and investigate. Rob will definitely need to leave the house for that because he will not be able to tolerate that kind of activity. But I would like for that to happen soon, so possibly look out for that as something happening with Cleveland Monster Club in the future.
Sounds like a new paranormal.
If that's real, I'm out too.
I hand up. I swear all of those things have happened within the last 10 months.
Yeah,
wow.
I'm good.
Yeah. At my current residence, so.
Y'all got this. More power to you.
Yeah, you've been to my house, so you don't want to know.
I don't want to know.
Ignorance is bliss.
Exactly.
Ignorance is bliss.
That's a perfect one.
What about you? Have you had any real life
Yes,
paranormal activity?
and you know what? I was a big skeptic. I didn't believe any of it. I went to Virginia Beach recently. And I went home and I went to visit my family. And I came back, and it was raining the whole way back. Every step of the way. It's like the rain was following me back. I got home. And I like Chucky, Tiffany, Glenn. I like those dolls. And they sit right beside me on my bed.
Okay.
And no, am I the biggest horror fanatic? No, but I like these dolls.
You liked them so much you took them with you on that trip.
I took them with me on the trip. And I come back And I look on this nightstand, and I'm freaked out because there's one of these Chinese, Japanese, I don't know, China dolls sitting on my nightstand that Eric had told me like a while back were haunted.
Yeah, you do have all those haunted
I
dolls.
bought a stock. Somebody was trying to get rid of them, and they actually reached out to me on Facebook, and they said, "Hey, I've got these dolls. I'm looking to get rid of them. I need them out of my house." I'm like, "Okay," and they're like, "Well, they're haunted." And I'm like, "Okay, you got my attention." So I met up with them at Spirit Halloween one time in the hearse, and I bought these 4 dolls and threw them in the back of the hearse, and they stayed in the back of the hearse for probably about a week. And I finally brought them in the house, and I tried doing some investigating with them, and I put the REM pod by them, and didn't really know much action, didn't see much action going on, other than one of them. Now, mind you, these are China dolls. The heads are porcelain, the hands are porcelain, the feet are porcelain. The faces are painted on. Even the eyes.
Oh, there's not like movable eyes in them?
No.
Okay, it's all painted on.
They're all painted on. And this one doll, her eyes would be wide open, and then occasionally they'd be almost closed. And they're painted on. They can't move.
Right. Cannot move.
And this is not the doll I'm having problems with.
And it's not the doll she's having problems with. The doll she's having problems with is the one that they said would occasionally fly off of shelves.
Okay.
And you know what? I didn't see nothing with these dolls. I've had no problem with these dolls. I did not believe him. Not at all. Until I came home from Virginia Beach. And there was a doll sitting on my nightstand where my Chucky doll sat.
And your Chucky dolls were not there because you took them.
Yeah, and I yelled downstairs.
She's screaming. I'm like, what the heck's going on?
I said, did you move one of these China dolls?
I'm like, why would... No. I said, and if I didn't notice because when I go upstairs, it's dark. I go to bed. I don't even turn the lights on. I wake up, it's dark. I don't turn the lights on.
So I was like, okay, all right, just put it in the cabinet and lock it. Well, there was no way to lock it, so he tied one of these ribbons around it with a blessed bookmarker on it.
That cabinet that I bought.
Yeah.
All the things have locks. There's a skeleton key. You lock it. Well, okay, so the door's open like this. Well, the lock just has a thing that goes straight across.
That's not going to stop it. It's still going to push forward.
Exactly. And I didn't understand. I thought, I can just lock these doors. And I lock the door and I pull on the handle and they both open. And I'm like...
Until one?
Well, that's a lost cause.
Right.
So I tied them. I had this bookmark that had ribbon on it. And I kind of tied them closed. I just wrapped the ribbon...
Around the handles?
Around the handles so that they couldn't open.
Right. It would stop.
Right.
So I went to go take a shower. I got out of the shower. And I went into the bedroom, and the doll's hand was sticking out of the bottom of the fucking shelf. And I'm like,
no! Absolutely not!
I wasn't even in the house. I was outside, and I heard her fucking screaming.
I'm screaming, I'm like,
what the fuck?
This fucking doll.
I mean, it sounded like somebody was killing her. She's like, get up here! Get up here! And I'm like, what the hell's going on? I thought somebody was up there had her at gunpoint or something.
I made him lock it in the gun cabinet. It's there. To this day, it's still sitting in that fucking gun cabinet.
And it cannot be happy.
No, and if it gets out, I'm dead.
Now,
honestly, I was just about to say, is that the smartest thing? Because it's going to be pissed the next time you open that cabinet.
Well, it's in with all the ammunition. There's no guns in the cabinet. It's only ammunition.
No, I'm not saying that, but I'm saying either way, the next time you open that cabinet, it's going to be pissed and probably fly out of there.
Now, she keeps hearing noises. I hear noises occasionally, too. And it sounds
scratching at the gun cabinet.
Something's knocking on the gun cabinet from the inside.
Nope.
And I told him, over and over again, let's take the doll to the gun range.
That ain't gonna help nothing.
No, but we can shoot it to death.
That's just gonna transfer to something else. You, him, one of the guns, who knows?
So yeah, that's her ghost story.
Man. Yeah, dolls are pretty creepy too, I'm not gonna lie.
Especially those China ones. Fuck those ceramic dolls. I don't want nothing to do with them.
Yeah, man. I'm curious about the updates on this story.
It's ongoing.
Ongoing.
Last
Mine
night,
too, actually. So I guess
last night, and you know what's funny is when I did my investigation with the dolls, there was no craziness going on other than the one's eyes opening and closing partway. And I got that on TikTok, on our TikTok channel.
But those dolls can be finicky. Like, they choose when to reveal themselves.
Correct. And they only reveal to certain people.
Yes. It picked you, girl.
I think
So-
he figured out last night that I wasn't fucking full of shit.
Yeah, I actually heard it.
You did?
I heard it tapping we were sitting down here on the couch and we kept hearing this tapping on the metal cabinet, and I'm like, yeah, we're not going up there.
I can't do nothing about it. I don't know what you want me to do.
What do you want me to do? Open up the cabinet?
Yes!
Fuck
Get it
no.
out of there. You gotta move it. You gotta pick one of those, or you gotta get a glass box, wash it with some holy water or something, stick
You
it
gotta
in
get
there.
that fucker blessed, something. Hit the fucking demon out from underneath it. I don't fucking know, but...
Put it in the cabinet like Annabelle? Put it in
Yes, like...
No, because obviously that didn't work.
No, we got to put a hasp on it or something that'll actually physically
Yeah.
lock.
Okay, something.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I think we covered pretty much everything we were going to cover today.
Be sure to check out the Halfway to
Yeah.
Halloween video if you haven't already. Also, sometime soon, I forget the exact date, but for those of you who have been around for a while, Riverside Cemetery has a festival coming up on the grounds, and that's going to be really cool and exciting.
That's this month. It's in June.
Yep.
That I actually posted the information on our last episode at the end of the video. Is all the information on the Riverside Cemetery Foundation Festival, Arts and Music Festival.
Yep,
They're
they
gonna
have it coming up.
they're gonna
All
have-
sorts of different
They're going to
vendors.
have food trucks. They're going to have music. They got 3 bands. It's free to get in. And there's a whole bunch of vendors. If you didn't hear about it in the last episode with Jamie talking about it, guys, it's going to be worth coming out there. Me and Michael will be there. I'm going to have 1 or 2 of my hearses there. Apparently, they need them to block roads. So,
Which is fair.
I mean, what else to block a road other than a hearse, right?
Right.
But yeah, we'll be right next to them. We'll be scheduling any kind of hearse rides that you want to do and stuff like that, and selling Cleveland Monster Club apparel.
As always.
Shirts, hats, and bandanas.
Repping the shirt, repping the bandana. We've
Heck
got
yeah.
hats.
Bandanas, hats, shirts. They all glow in the dark.
If you have any suggestions, as always, you can let us know. Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, where you're probably watching this podcast right now. And also, if you have suggestions for upcoming events, let us know, because the farther the podcast goes, the closer we get to Halloween season. So we want to start hopping on those prequel events right now. So let us know.
So that about covers everything, everybody. Mopar Monster here with
Siren.
Sister Psycho.
We're out of here. Stay creepy, everybody.
Stay creepy.